When is somebody at Paramount going to come down to that Comedy Central studio? Tens of millions of dollars in that budget. Dozens of people working there. Maybe like 50 people. When is a Paramount executive going to come down there and say, I want you MFers in my room immediately? Immediately. We're going to show you the opening clip of The Daily Show's interview. They do 4 shows a week. They take many weeks off. Again, tens of millions of dollars that go into this interview. I'm going to start it from the beginning.
Jonathan, I see people.
Jonathan, what? Jonathan, what? You're doing an interview with a guy about a book and you don't know his last name? Hey, Jonathan, oh, this book, I see it all over the neighborhood. You have like 50 people working there and nobody can prep you? Hey, his name is Jonathan Haidt? Nobody there? Like, you don't even do the work? Like, you're going to go interview him and you don't even know his name? And by the way, the interview really annoys me along. I mean, I knew I was going to be annoyed by the interview, but I just could not believe the level of disrespect and incompetence of this motherfucking show. I'll have to bleep that out. Jordan Klepper, what is your problem? The whole staff. Where is Paramount? Get there, you know what, in a room and read them the riot act. The next time you don't know the name of a guest, you are out of here. Now I'm going to show you the end of this.
The anxious generation is available now. Jonathan Haidt. Important one. The anxious generation is available now. Jonathan Haidt.
He's saying Jonathan Haidt. It's not Jonathan Haidt. It's Jonathan Haidt. There are many websites you can go to that say this is how he pronounces his name. Jonathan Haidt, not Hot. He doesn't know the name in the beginning, and then he gets the name wrong at the end, which proves he never knew the name. That's why he didn't say it in the beginning. But then in the end, I guess he's like, oh, well, it's just the end. Nobody really noticed. I'll just sort of like do, like, we don't remember our friend. Like, oh, Jonathan, huh? Inexcusable. Totally inexcusable. You know why? Because they don't have a standard of excellence. It's all about scale. Scale, scale, scale. Now, for those of you who are going to write in the comments, that's a comedy show and I just don't get it, let me explain. An interview is always journalism. It may be a comedy show, but if the guest isn't in on the jokes, the segment is journalism. He's there to talk seriously about his or her book. Did Jonathan Haidt know the questions in advance? No. It's not a performance for him. It's a real conversation between him and the host, who happens to be a comedian. Get the name right. My father was a journalist. What was his first lesson to me? Get the name right. If you get the name wrong, he said, you are telling that person that they aren't important to you, that you have more important things to do. Who wants to feel like that? In journalism, there's nothing that's more important than getting a person's name right. Now, what's ironic, mind-blowing, is all this stuff lately about how important pronouns are. The he, she, they, whatever. Yet the pronoun is secondary to your given name. What kind of insane world do we live in where knowing one's primary name isn't as important as knowing what pronoun they want to be called? And what's also ironic, mind-blowing, is this subject is what Jonathan Haidt talks about in his books. And Jonathan Klepper is Exhibit A of those who don't understand these issues. If Klepper read these books, or that book, I bet he was skimming them while scrolling the phone. I bet he's doing exactly what Jonathan Haidt said is bad for you and society. And by the way, I did another video about Ronnie Chang, equally inane interview with Yuval Noah Harari in early March. This is a chronic problem. Who defends journalistic values? Not the government, right? We must defend them, all of us. Are good journalistic practices the domain of a company's board, especially the governance committee? I say they are. And Susan Schuman, the board chair, was paid almost $400,000 last year for a handful of board meetings, and it seems getting people's name right isn't on her agenda. That's the state of the world today. It's about scale, not about excellence. No one at Paramount or The Daily Show could care less about me as a viewer. They don't care if I go to the bookstore and ask for a book by this guy, Jonathan Haidt. Do you have the latest book by Jonathan Haidt? They don't care if I get embarrassed by the book clerk like, you mean Jonathan Haidt? What happens to a society that loses sight of good socializing? Jonathan Haidt writes about it in his book. I could not recommend his books more. In fact, I think they should be required reading for everyone on the staff at The Daily Show. Indeed, and I am seriously not joking. If The Daily Show tried to produce the show with his observations in mind, it would be a much better show. But first, get people's names right.